our last. I have 7 o'clock. We will looking out amongst our members here. Miss Beverly Atwood had let me know that she would be absent. Have not talked to Miss Amber Russell. I know that those nurses have been working a lot of hours, so she may be working. I don't know that. And I have not talked to Mr. Thurman. But out of our 9 committee members, it looks like we do have present myself, Mr. Lonnie Taylor, Ms. Amy Thomas, Mr. Kim Buckmaster, Mr. DJ Limble, David Limble there in this case, and Mr. Jewell is present with us as well. So we do have a quorum, so we will call the meeting to order. And I guess I've already taken attendance there in this case pretty much. So next thing if you'll look at the back page of this first part here, you will have your minutes from our last committee meeting, which was in March, which I think you'll find quite a few of the items that we talked about on here right in front of us today. I know we're not completely working as we had hoped to be working, but it's coming a long ways quick.
Just push the button.
I figured you'd look around. You look around the lamp. I'm looking through it.
Yeah.
Motion approved minutes as presented.
We have a motion to say, Mr. Lonnie Taylor, to approve minutes as written. I stand as well on that part. I greatly appreciate the same Johnson, for being here for it. Thank you. All those in favor of the motion as stated, to approve these minutes, please let me know by saying aye. Aye. Any of those opposed, let me know by nay. Motion is carried. And as I said, I really appreciate it.
It would help if I would turn on my microphone. I was just going to say how much I really appreciate when I look at the recordings, how much better it sounds. And that is part of what we definitely worked on with communications here to have that piece in front of us. I know sometimes things come with a cost, but I think it was more of a good investment in our futures. So as we go along the way there, our discussion for tonight, our first item here in this case is upgrading the county phone system. Current phone system, it says here in this case, limits to 99 phones throughout the county. I do want to make sure that we know these are not cell phones that we're talking about here in this case.
No, these are the landlines, the voice over internet phones.
I just want to make sure we all understood we're not talking about additional cell phones for the county or something like that. These are those phones that were, these are all linked together, if I'm not mistaken, so you could call between places. Is that correct?
Yeah, they all have individual, inside our phone network, they have individual extensions. So we can call each other just doing the extension, or some of them just have a button you push it and call a person.
Understood. So that's what we're looking at, needing to upgrade the license here in this case for an additional 50 extensions. Are we going to, I guess the one question I would have in this case up front, that 50 extensions, is that needed right now, or will there be extras available there?
There'll be extras available. It's just when you go with this new package, it's up to 150 lines. So that'll leave us poised for growth in the future. It's just that right now with the package we have, you're limited to 100, and once you go over 100, you have to go to this new package.
I thought that was the case. Just wanted to have it in front of us stated here in this case. Thank you. Committee has this in their hands here, and as we're looking at it, it does say that this will raise the annual cost by $1,563.39. So, any thoughts, discussion, questions? Mr. Jewell?
Just one question, Amy and the Mayor. Did we include this amount in the budget, or we will have to do a budget amendment to raise this amount, or do you think there's money in the budget to cover it?
Amy's pondering, so I will let her answer that question.
I believe that there is money in the communications line item where these phones come out of. I could be wrong, but I'm 90% sure that there is money available in that line item. That's normally a line item that we don't spend everything in every year, but it's budgeted at the same amount.
I would hate to do a budget amendment for it unless we have something needed. I'd rather do it at the end of the year if we say we're gonna be short, and a cleanup amendment. So, that's just my thinking.
I don't believe we're gonna be that short if we are, maybe by $100 or so, but there should be plenty in that line item.
Just a question myself I have here, just to make sure this is clear for the public more than anything. What is that cost, if you know of it right now, for the 99 or 100 lines we have?
Are you asking for the, what is it we pay for the subscription, or what we start, every fiscal year, what is it?
Yeah, what is that current?
It is currently $590.50 a quarter. So this, if we went to this package a quarter, it would be $1,563.39. So it'd be an increase of $972.89 per quarter.
Just being transparent, so we know what we're looking at right here. We're really talking about taking a $2,200 cost and making that $3,700, $3,800 cost.
And that gets you, that's quarterly hardware and software support. That's what those charges are for.
Understood. Appreciate it. I just want to make sure we're clear on what we're looking at. Okay.
Will there be enough room for growth in the new jail in this system? Could that really be another subscription past this?
Depending on how many staff you have, that's something we actually are going to have a staffing analysis done with County Technical Assistance Service, because some of your existing staff's going to move over, and depending on what size facility you build, they're going to tell you evaluation how many staff we need. But right now, those phones should move with the jail. So I think right now they've got, and Amy can correct me if I'm wrong, I think they've got about 13 phones or so, and those phones would all be ported over to the new facility, and so I don't know how many additional staff they would have right now at this point for how many phones they would need. It's usually done by position in the building, not staff itself, so I really don't know if it's going to add any more or not.
What is the maximum number of phones that we can use on this system? 200, 150?
150. It's 150.
150 would be that. 150 is the absolute max, then we'll have to go to a totally new system if we go over that.
I was going to say, I knew what Mr. Lewis said, it's in our system and through this program. We're buying for 150 now, but can it be extended higher, or would we have to change programs? Is that what you asked, Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
And my understanding is it's just packages you buy, so you can add on to it above that. And this next package would take us up to, it'll be an additional 50. It'll be an additional 50 licenses, so you can add it to 50 additional phones. And I think if you tapped out at the 150 and you need to go beyond that, I think it'd be a new package. I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know if there's like a maximum number that the system itself can actually handle versus software packages or service packages, so that might be something Amy knows because she's looking at it like a Cheshire cat.
Thank you. It really depends on how big the server is. Currently, our system handles 100 licenses. What we're asking for is to add the additional 50 licenses to it. You can, I think the company we use, I mean, you can have 10,000 licenses. Of course, you're going to have to pay for it too. But right now, we're just moving up to the next level. We don't foresee using the 50 lines that we need for a couple of years, at least until the jail, or if the new jail is built, and then we'll review at that time and see if we need to bump it up again.
Mr. Lemon?
I know the 1,500, that's the licenses for the next package, but does that include the actual physical phone, or just the option for to have that license move up 50?
The 1,500 is the quarterly service charges, support charges. No, if you buy the physical phone, it'll be $248.50 per phone. That is actually for the phone itself plus a license for it. So it'll be $248.50 for each additional phone you buy onto the system over what we have right now. And there is some other costs. I did send this to the committee as an email attachment, and I had it to hand out tonight, and it's probably sitting on my desk, and I apologize. But there's some labor cost and equipment cost. If we're going to upgrade to this, as Amy said, there's some switches and other things we have to add to the system. Right now, the labor cost, they've got it to verify compatibility and set up for new servers, briefing on the directory, training, and first day live on-site assistance, plus travel. They figure 11.83 hours at $155 an hour. They figure that would be $1,834.17. To run updates, back up the system, upgrade the server and phones, and perform a post-upgrade flow testing is 11.38 hours at $232.50 an hour. They figure that as $2,645.35. So total labor cost to do the switch over, they figure $4,479.52. And then the equipment cost to upgrade to this system is to install some more switches at $1,500, a software upgrade to this enterprise package, which is $4,495, and then a new server. It's an R240 server, it has a 5-year basic support with it, $2,250. So total equipment cost is $8,245. So between labor and cost, one-time cost to upgrade this system will be $12,724.52. So that'll be a one-time cost if we want to go to this new system. And then after that, you've got your quarterly support payments, $1,563.39, and then the $248.50 for each phone we're going to physically add onto the system. And again, I apologize. I had that to bring with me, and yeah, I thought I stuck it in my folder, and apparently I left it behind. So I do apologize for that.
As I've looked through these lines here in this case, I noticed we only have 2 vacant lines, it seems. Is there a need at this moment for a additional 3, I guess is what we'd be saying, put us over our numbers?
We can actually probably go beyond 3 right now. The archives doesn't have one, they've requested a line. Animal shelter doesn't have one, they've requested a line. The little shack at the convenience center does not currently have any kind of communication. And then the shop building up above the convenience center for the public works does not have a phone either. So that's 4 right there. Plus, you've got Mr. Paxton should have enough phones, but I think Ag's going to have another one. So we talked to Mitel. We do have 1 or 2 that's marked vacant. We did find, I think, 1 other phone that was previously some kind of modem that's been disconnected, and now that frees up an additional line. So we have 3 vacant right now.
Understood then in this case. I noticed we have like 7 at the health department. Are all those used? Are there 7 people that work?
Well, they have them in the different rooms. So like they got one in the boardroom, some in the exam rooms and all stuff. And I give you an example. There's one on here that says environmentals 1, environmentals 2. Those used to be the group through, I can't remember if it's Department of Environment Conservation that did like your septic examinations. They moved out, however. Environmentalist 1 right now is a contract nurse doing COVID testing. So they bring in different staff doing different things throughout the health department, so they've got phones throughout the building.
I guess the only reason I asked that question is these phones cost the county approximately $25 a month, a year, I guess, is that cost there when you figure out that piece, which is not a large cost, but if it's $25 just sitting there not being used, that's the only reason I asked that question. It might be not an issue I have with the need that we need new phones. I'm just saying that, just wondering if there's any cleanup on here that may be done. It may not be at all.
Right.
Just that question.
And we
There's a report that I run to see if the phones are being used, and I can see that there's activity.
You got where I was getting at exactly. That's where I was headed. I mean, as you said, the environmentalist, I think that's also at the health department. Is that correct?
Yes, that's at the health department. I didn't know what that was either, so I just called the extension, and then a woman answered and said her name was Amber, and I had to ask her who she was, and she told me she was a contract nurse that's currently doing COVID testing.
But yeah, because that environmentalist, Mark Webster has been moved out of that office. He's now no longer in an office. He's only on cell phone.
Right, and as Amy said, we did kind of run through and make sure that they were online. We also had a group came in that did at no cost to us right now, did a check on all the phones. They did have some questions on AT&T versus what we're doing now, but most of the lines, I believe, all did check live and are in use.
Understood. And I'm not trying to call out anyone by not using those pieces,
I don't blame you. We did the same thing, saying that there's some lines out here we can free up and adjust our immediate need for right now, but all we could find was 3 available, and we've got these other places. And I would also say we currently have none at the courthouse, and in our disaster plan, the courthouse is our backup administration building.
The window, number 9899, window, is that at the county office? Right, but that's right beside there too now, right? So will those go outside to where the water department's at now, or will they need additional when they're building their new piece?
I'd say,
Are we talking?
Probably need new ones in the water department building, because that space is gonna be occupied with somebody else that's gonna need it. How many they need, at which locations, but probably everything that's there, Mayor, I would assume would stay there.
I think there's probably 2, maybe 3 phones in that area that could be moved over to the water department's building, but I think they've got 6 or 7 total, and I think you would really only have 3 left if they take them with them. And when I say take them with them, I mean basically port it over to that location versus where they're at now.
Yes.
I understood there in this case, and I only, like I say, I know I'm being petty and looking at those things, but if I'm standing at a window over here and a window over there, I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I understand, and we asked them is there another package in between this 100 and 150 that we could look at, and it's basically, that's all it is.
All right, then we understand those pieces, and I appreciate you looking through these pieces. Sounds like you've looked through those parts already, and as Miss Amy said, she can run a report and see what's been used. And that's all I was thinking is making sure we're, especially if a phone's, it's $248, yeah, or 50 cents, but if we're doing that, and then you're paying $25 a year for that phone. I know $25 doesn't sound like much, but if it's not being used, it's a waste of money. If we don't have to go purchase another phone that's already in existence, if we just plug in somewhere else. Just a thought of mine on that part. What's the, Miss Amy?
I was just looking at the budget. I do need to suggest that a budget amendment will need to be done for that 12,000 number. That is not included in the budget at all.
12,000.
To go into the system, because that 1,500 number is just the quarterly amount. But the 12,000 that the mayor said, that's what we're going to need for the server and other equipment to move into the enterprise system.
I must not have been listening well. I wrote 1,700 and some change.
Well, there's a quarterly payment that is separate to set up this and switch this over and put in the additional hardware and everything we need. There's a one-time labor and equipment cost, and that was $12,724.52. If I said 1,200, I misspoke. I apologize.
I just didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
You said you sent these figures out? Okay, I looked back through my phone and I didn't find
Yeah,
it.
they may not have been through this committee. I don't know which committee they were sent to.
I don't remember seeing them or getting them, and I can't find them in files, so, if you don't mind, I'd like to receive them. Okay, thank you.
I think what I did is we got it set up in our system as different committees, and I type in the committee and it populates, and it may not have been updated with the current membership.
I think we've looked at this thoroughly. This system is working well for us. We know that we're having the growth and going to need this, whether it's next week or next month. It's certainly within the next year or two. I would make the motion that we approve this.
We have a motion made that we look at approving this, right now we're looking to approve.
Let me rephrase my motion, please.
I was just fixing to ask you what your motion exactly was.
That we recommend this to be done, budget and finance, let them see if they can come up with the money.
We have a motion to recommend this be sent on to Budget and Finance to see if the monies can be allocated for this improvement. Do I see a second? I have a second there. Mr. Lingle seconds the motion that we send this with our approval. That's what the motion is, to the Budget and Finance to let them work with the numbers. Any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion as stated, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, let it be known by nay. None opposed, motion carries. I do appreciate the conversations we've had there. It's always great for us to be very upfront and clear about what costs are. We know it's going to cost $563.39 additional per year, but there's also upfront costs, and I appreciate you sharing those pieces. That it's not just those pieces. Each little movement has a cost. I don't see any public comment.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, say, I was going to say I got some items, not for any action, it's just an update that I was going to talk about, but if Mr. Jewell wants to go first, mine is just update items.
Go right ahead.
We did hire Mike Carey to come down and run new Ethernet in the downstairs of the courtroom. There were some areas that didn't have Ethernet connections with the election commission looking to move over here, and there was a gentleman that came and did an ADA inspection of the courthouse, and he recommended using the downstairs courtroom as an early voting site. Those will need to be securely connected to the internet, so we run some hardwired connections into that room, and we also ran some into several other rooms. So we are expanding the Ethernet or the Wi-Fi, the internet capability here at the courthouse. So we have had that done. Right now we're waiting for Trican to help us come over and get them all hooked into the switches. We've still been working on the AV system here at the courthouse. We've had the switch that went down, and now tonight we've had the internet problem. So we hope we've got it resolved. We'll see as we go forward. Other than that, as far as communication goes, there's really nothing. I don't think I have any updates beyond that. I think that's the two big items we've been working on. We are continuously trying to update and the website and working on that. There is a couple other pieces of functionality that when COVID hit, we kind of forgot about seeing if we can activate. One of them would be see if we can have basically like an email service, like if you want to sign up for a group email, if we send out agendas or something like this, anybody that signs up for it would automatically get that as part of this email system. So we're trying to see how we can activate that. And then we're adding some sections to the website for projects, ongoing projects and completed projects, and then obviously trying to update them, the site as much as we can. Sometimes we fall behind a little bit because right now it's just Amy and myself updating the website. Each individual department does have the capability to go in there and edit their website, their web page. As far as overall access to the site, only Amy and myself have that. So we try to stay on top of it, but sometimes we fall a little bit behind. And we do update, connect every committee meeting with the videos we post on YouTube, so we connect those as well. We try to get those uploaded pretty expediently. Ms. Thomas has been exceptional at that. I've dropped the ball on that. She's picked it up and run with it. So I think that pretty much covers us communication-wise. If there's any other questions or something I didn't cover or haven't thought about, I'd be welcome to take those.
No, but I might mention I greatly appreciate the ease of that internet, of our website use in finding committee minutes, finding committee discussions via video, via the video clips. It's really great to have, and that if I'm not mistaken, when we updated that website, we have an unlimited amount of space there to put those on. So we don't have to get to a point where we maxed out. We need to buy more space, or we can or have to delete something. So those things can be there for us and there to use and access. So a great option for the future. You know, minutes are a great thing, and I appreciate greatly what you do when you write your minutes. Any secretary that writes those minutes, it's hard sometimes to capture in words on one person exactly the deliberation, the tone, and I'm not meaning tone in a negative way. I'm meaning just the way things are worded, but it's great to have those videos. I know they're not a true public record. Our records are our minutes, but it's great to have those to go back and look on.
Any other thoughts from
Mr. Julian?
Something you want to say?
The mayor covered part of what I was going to say. I was going to thank himself and Amy for keeping up the website, and I know that it's a constant, never-ending struggle to do that. And it's really been received well by the public. I've had a lot of really good comments about it, and appreciate all their efforts. The only other thing I wanted to say, it seems like we're getting more and more technology and technology dependent. I think it may be something, particularly prior to the next budget year, that we want to take another look at the possibility of hiring an IT person or someone to at least assist us in the meeting so that Amy's not having to struggle with this system. She's, you know, or the mayor's not having to struggle with it to help us, to guide us. And so that we're not putting all of these undue burdens on the two of them or even someone else. I appreciate them stepping up and doing it, don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, that's not what I'm saying. I just think the time has come, once again, for us to kind of take a look at that, to see if there's a need for it and a cost. And maybe not even on a full-time basis, but somebody that's on a part-time basis that can help us with the meetings, and maybe even roll it into a position where it's their responsibility to be at the meetings, and they're going to be the recording secretary to make sure the recordings are made and that the minutes are taken. Because that seems to be the one gap we have with the commission, is the secretaries doing things timely, accurately, being available at the meeting, and having to pass it off on someone else. So I don't know whether we could roll those two things into one, but I do think as we go into the future, it's certainly something that we're going to need more and more, and I'd like to see us in some way take another look at it and see what our needs are, and see if that's something that's feasible for us to even be thinking about it. Not necessarily tonight, just want us to be cogitating on that, thinking about it. I think it's, once again, time for us to look at that.
Appreciate those comments. I think if you go back and read some of the original minutes of this committee's found when it was formed, I think this committee came into place, if I may be speaking wrong, about 10 years ago or a little over, if I'm not mistaken. I can go back somewhere in that range. And there was some of that same discussion that there was going to need to be an IT person. Some of those original members, if you go back and read some of those discussions from then, seems that we've held out quite a while, but you know, as you see little pieces, the phone that you're talking about tonight is still connected to an Ethernet port in those pieces. So understood well what you're saying in this case. Anything else anyone might bring before?
Sorry, as Mr. Gill spoke, he jogged in my memory, and I thought of two other items. Again, update items. We worked with Vol State Community College on a workforce development video that we're going to add to our economic development page in the workforce development session. We're working with Dan Tidcomb at Tennessee Central to get that verbiage and everything together. The video is done. I have it in a draft on YouTube. I haven't posted it yet because I'm working with Mr. Tidcomb to get kind of language that's going to attract somebody that's looking at our area. So we're going to add that to the website as well when we got that ready. And we did add a piece of functionality to our website through a service called Vendor Registry. What that is anybody that's a vendor wanting to do business with the county, they can now sign up to do business with us through this online portal, and we can also post requests for proposals and do a search for any vendors in the state of Tennessee. So we can get all that together, and that'll help us out greatly. That's something that CTAS recommended we do. We asked them about some questions on purchasing. It's something they recommended we do, and I think it's going to work out really well. Still just completed maybe the training on all three sections of what the functionality is, so I'm looking forward to going forward on that. I think it's going to be a real good addition to the website, and it's certainly going to help us getting additional vendors that we didn't even know were out there to do services for the county.
Appreciate those updates. As we look here in this case, I didn't see any public there, I know. I guess that brings us to the point where if we have additional business, do I hear a motion to adjourn, or do we have any conversation? We have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second to that motion? Have a second to that motion. All those in favor, that is non-debatable. All those in favor, please let it be known by a state of aye. Aye. And any opposed? Motion carries. Consider yourself adjourned.